Welcome back outside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined by Ryan Hannable, Patriots writer for WEEI.com. Ryan, finally, we had day one of 2016 Patriots training camp. And yes, we had the predictable Brady chance, but it was Jimmy Garoppolo really stealing the headlines here. He was the quarterback after practice who spoke to the media, and he said it was exciting for him to get a lot of reps with the first unit, though he hesitated in calling the first team, second team, because everybody rotates. But Jimmy Garoppolo got on the field, mostly with the first team offense. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, the starter practice, when they did individual drills, you sort of saw Tom with the lead guys sort of take the majority of the reps. But once they got into 11-on-11s, it was Garoppolo who was with the first team and going against the first defense. So that was the clear sign to what Belichick spoke of yesterday, is getting Garoppolo prepared for week one, and that is, working with the ones. I mean, Garoppolo's not going to come out and say it, but that's what we saw out there and what happened. So I think this was just the step one of a very long process of getting him ready for the Cardinals on September 11th.
And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo spoke to us about after practice, is that this is just day one of what's going to be a long process for him. Yes, it's September 11th will come soon enough, but there are a lot of steps to be taken, not only with the first team, but with Josh McDaniels talking to Tom Brady about what to expect at the line of scrimmage. And remember, this is a guy who's never started an NFL regular season game, and that's a different animal altogether, even a lot different than a preseason game.
Yeah, like you said, it's a very long process. That game's not for over 2 months from now. So a lot's going to happen between now and then. He's going to have a lot thrown at him. And it's beyond with, like you said, just working on the field. There's the game planning, the working with teammates, studying the playbook, learning the plays. Maybe the playbook changes a little bit with Garoppolo as opposed to Brady. So I think everyone's going to react to what we saw today. But in the end, it's a very long process. And it's hard not to, overreact to what we saw out there. But again, it's a very long process, and there's a lot that's going to go into it rather than just what happened out there today.
That is not to say, Ryan, that Tom Brady is not working closely with Martellus Bennett and Rob Gronkowski. He is, and we still saw that here on Thursday morning as those three work together, as they did in OTAs quite often, as they did in minicamp. Tom Brady is going to continue to get his work in. He's going to get his first team reps. They're just not going to be as significant.
Right, and I think that's another major thing that we should keep in mind, that Brady is the starting quarterback when he returns in week 5, so they can't just completely ignore him, which is kind of like what we saw today with the side sessions with Martellus Bennett and Rob Gronkowski along the goal line, like we've seen it in years past with Gronkowski and other sort of top receivers that he works with on the goal line. So it was nothing unusual, but again, worth noting that Brady is still the starting quarterback of this team when he returns.
Okay, of note, the biggest news of the day, no number 91. Jamie Collins was not spotted on the field anywhere. There were a lot of players who were not in shells. They practiced in shells, not full pads. That'll come over the weekend. But Jamie Collins wasn't even spotted on the field. Anything you're hearing about what possibly might explain that? Because he was spotted in the complex a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it's sort of no one really knows. I mean, it's hard to look into. Again, like I said earlier, it's just the first day of training camp. But again, there's no injury that we know of. He did practice in the spring. So it raises the question, why is he out there? I mean, I think everyone's going to jump to right away his contract, and is he holding out? I mean, it's kind of hard to make a judgment for not being at the first training camp practice that's not even in pads. But again, you kind of have to wonder, is he holding out? Because, I mean, he's underpaid. That's
no question about that.
He's underpaid, and he's going to be a free agent after this year. So maybe it's not in his best interest to hold out. Maybe just wait until he hits free agency and then make his money then, but maybe he wants to make us think about it right now. Who knows? There's a lot of questions that can be raised, and there's just not a lot of answers right now.
Rob Ninkovich was spotted during OTAs and during minicamp working with the linebackers. He is listed as a defensive end on the roster sheet officially, and that's where he was back working out here on Thursday with the defensive linemen.
Yeah, he's bounced around. I think Ninkovich has showed over the course of his career that he's a versatile player and can play, a lot of positions on the in the front seven. I think that's what you want to have for the Patriots defense that they have this year. I mean, you can have Jabal Sheard sort of excel at the defensive end position and then sort of let Ninkovich sort of float around to where maybe he's needed most. I mean, we thought that maybe he was working at these other positions as sort of an emergency case scenario, but I think going into the season, his flexibility could be a big key for the defense to sort of move around and allow some guys to free up to sort of play in major spots.
Rob Gronkowski spoke to us after practice as well. He was the other major star to really speak after the first training camp practice here on Thursday. He had a couple of drops, and he was asked about that, and he said, well, hopefully I'm getting them out of the way now, ha, ha, ha. You know, the way Gronk laughs and you know, treats everything with the proper perspective. He's not that worried about it. But your impressions in watching Rob Gronkowski and what he told reporters afterward about the team being unified.
Yeah, that's important this year with all the stuff that's happened with Tom Brady and over the years. They're a pretty close team. They've gone through a lot together, and for the most part, this team's pretty much the same as it was last year. So they know what it's like. They know each other's personalities, and sort of it's kind of their year to come together as a whole and excel. As for him on the field today, again, it's the first practice, so it's hard to really dissect, you know, what he did and didn't do. While he did have some drops, he also made a pretty nice catch in the end zone, too. So for every bad play, Rob's going to make a good play. I don't think his performance out here is anything to be concerned about. He'll be there week one and probably one of, if not the best player on the field.
I did ask Gronk about his health. I mean, after all the Brady and Garoppolo questions, I asked him, how do you feel, Rob? I mean, there's been so much talk about the offense, and people forget this was a very banged-up tight end at the end of last season. And he told me, he said, look, I'd be lying if I said I was 100%. I'm not quite there, but I'm working like the devil to get there. And the sense I got is he feels pretty good, and he's going to feel at his prime come opening day.
Yeah, we saw in Denver that last drive. He and Tom Brady pretty much put the team on their backs to come back against the Broncos, and I think that small sample size just showed just how important Rob Gronkowski is to this offense. And we don't have Tom Brady the first 4 weeks. His importance becomes even more important with Garoppolo and having a big target to sort of throw to and sort of lean on key plays. So I think his health is probably, you know, as important as any other player on the roster. So they need him to be 100% come week one.
All right, it was a hot one here on Thursday. Temperatures reaching into the low 90s by midway through the practice. It was very warm. We could have some rain on Friday. Keep an eye on that forecast to see what might be in store for the Patriots if they're outside or if they move into the bubble. We'll have full coverage as always on WEEI.com and the It Is What It Is blog on WEEI.com. Ryan, good seeing you again. For Ryan Hannable, outside Gillette Stadium, I'm Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com.